Diablo 4 just had their Campfire chat, and they broke down a number of things. They also showed some Gauntlet gameplay, talked about what the rewards will be, some of the buffs, also mentioned some big announcements coming up for Season 4, so let's get going. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to know about this is the Gauntlet. Effectively, the Gauntlet is a system of rooms. It's a static map, which will have shrines, has chests that you can unlock from finding a key, from killing one of the monsters on the map. Everything you kill will give you a score. You have 8 minutes to get the highest score you can. That score will go on the leaderboard. The top people on the leaderboard basically get embalmed for all time at the top of the leaderboard and sort of their overall era. So you can see the very best of all time. And this is just very standard leaderboard stuff. In terms of the actual gameplay, what it looks like, you're basically just blasting through and killing as many minions as you can. You can reset how many minions are there by picking up these shrines that basically respawn the minions. And a lot of it is going to come down to your strategy of killing it. They showed 3 different runs, 8 minutes each run, of Necromancer, Sorceress, as well as a Barbarian when they were doing these runs. And it looked all right. If you're wondering my opinion on the Gauntlet, I think that the Gauntlet probably won't bring people back that quit the game at like level 50 or something like that. But the people that are still playing Diablo 4 will enjoy it. It looks like a sort of fun arcade mini game on the side attached to a leaderboard. I didn't hate it that much. Most of the people in my chat didn't really seem to find it that exciting, but that is sort of the Gauntlet, and this is the gameplay associated with it. Now, you might be wondering about the rewards. It didn't look like Uber Uniques were part of the rewards, but they did mention 925 gear with a very good chance to basically get Ancestral Uniques with it as well. So you're going to be getting basically the strongest gear you can get that is not Uber Uniques in the game as a reward, and those seem like weekly rewards. One of the other big things returning are actually vampiric powers. So vampire powers from Season 2 will be coming back in the form of actual legendary items. So these are the powers currently that will be coming back. You can see Kurt's Touch, Blood Boil, Hectic Metamorphosis, Moonrise, and then Dying. So not all of them. No, your Hemomancy will not be coming back, but they're coming back in the form of just standard legendary affixes. These are not unique items like the Malignant Rings. These are just normal legendaries. You cannot put them in the codex from what I hear. They're not showing up there. They're just going to be affixes that you can acquire that you can slam onto gear. Here is an example of these legendary affixes so you can see sort of what they look like. This had mixed reception in the chat. Some people were calling it lazy recycled content. I myself actually like bringing back previous things that people liked about the game. For instance, these affixes were something people did like about the game. This is part of what makes PoE great. You bring back seasonal mechanics and you slowly build overall everything that's in the game. So is it new content? No, but is it content people liked? Yes, it is. They talked about snapshotting, saying they're fixing some cases for it, and in general, they're moving towards completely removing it from the game. They just don't like it. Some bug changes, but then also they mentioned here that the Gauntlet, once you're within the Gauntlet, you cannot change your skill tree, Paragon, etc. So there's not going to be like weird min-maxing of having to move your gear around and everything while you're in there. It's just going to be you enter with the build you want to use. There were a bunch of class updates as well. Barbarians getting some buffs, Druids getting some buffs, Sorcerers getting some buffs. Basically, the things that were lackluster, like Sorcerers Incinerate, Druids Companions, for instance, Barbarians early game basic attacks, Rogues Heartseeker, Forceful Arrow. The Necro Minions are actually getting a buff, and they mentioned movement speed for Necromancer specifically was one of the things they also mentioned here. So you can see minion buffs here, and then they talked about movement speed a good deal for the Necromancer. So they're just kind of hitting on some key points that people have been talking about before. They also mentioned there are no plans to be nerfing the Barbarian's Charge, though there is some nerfs, small things like 5 to 10% nerfs that are happening to the Seneschal Pet before the launch of the Gauntlet in order just to try to keep it as stable as possible. They also mentioned there is a beefy stream incoming in order to talk about all of the changes that will be coming. One of the primary things that they mentioned during this was the addition of a PTR will be coming for Season 4. So that, if you don't know what that is, that's a public test room or a test server. This will be open to anybody who owns Diablo 4 on Battle.net on PC. So there will not be a PTR for console, just to try to make it as streamlined as possible. It's on Battle.net only, so not Steam. Battle.net, Diablo 4 owners on PC will have access to the PTR. There will not be a private version of this. This is just something that the general public can access, and there's no NDA, anything like that. You can record, you can stream, you can do whatever you want with it. And the reason they're doing that is because they say Season 4 is obviously the season of the itemization changes, and they want people to have access and feedback to that. Since it's such a big core part of the game, there's going to be a lot of changes. They want to have the PTR for that. The PTR will not be for every single patch and for every single season. It sounds like it's something they're going to be pulling out when it is more important type of information they're trying to dissect. Now, you're probably wondering when the Gauntlet's actually going to be launching. This will be launching next Tuesday. And in terms of difficulty, you might be noticing the monsters are level 124. They said they are scaling this akin to like a level 70 dungeon, for instance. And the reason that they are doing this is they don't want this to be locked and gate kept to only people with like level 100 Nightmare Dungeons completed, gate kept with Uber Uniques and all these things. They want you to progress with the Gauntlet and be able to enter World Tier 4, get a little progress on your belt, and then go into the Gauntlet and see how you get better as throughout playing through the Gauntlet. That was their logic in terms of the difficulty not being like the absolute most pinnacle difficulty in the game, as that was one question that did arise. Really, the big win to take home out of this, because there is some changes. I don't think the balance changes were that big of a deal. Some stuff that isn't so good might be a little bit better now. Necromancers get some movements and some minion buff. Druids, maybe the companions are going to start doing something and they're not nerfing the charge barb. But outside of that, I don't think the balance updates are really what people are looking for. What you guys are looking for is big additions to content, and that it will make you come back or not to the game effectively. And so as it stands currently, I think the people who are going to be playing the Gauntlet are people that are already enjoying Diablo 4 and already in the game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to log back in to try out the Gauntlet, even though it seems all right. However, the big win, and the point I'm trying to get to here, is that public test realm was something that was originally not planned, that was asked by the general public, and the consensus seems to be a PTR would be a good idea. So things like the itemization changes to you, the person watching this, can be tested, and your opinion can be given back to the company as these changes are being implemented. This will hopefully help these launches of things like Season 3 launches stopping from being as blindly uninteresting as Season 3 was on the launch, for instance. So actually have that feedback before the seasons actually come out, etc. I think that's what Season 4 PTR is supposed to do. I think the Season 4 itemization changes are well understood to be critically important for the health of the game. And I think they want that feedback from all players like yourself listening to this to be able to be heard, and they probably need the data to understand how good the itemization is going to be and to avoid bugs and balance issues and all of these things. So PTR will be coming. I don't think we got a date on exactly when that PTR will be open, but it will be for the Season 4 itemization is when that begins, and it won't be for every season. So that was the biggest change I noticed out of everything. Some class updates seem all right. Small nerfs to the pet seems okay. You know, if you were a sorcerer, then you got Incinerate. If you're a druid, you got your companions. If you're a necromancer, you gain some movement speed and some minion buffs, some thorn additions. The rogue gets their changes to the heart seeker, for instance. And the other one, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but no like major changes here. Barb gets some early game stuff. Forceful arrow, that was the one. Barb gets some early game changes. So not like massive impactful stuff, but the PTR edition is really good change, and the Gauntlet is all right for the people that are going to play it. That's sort of what it seems like currently. They did mention, I want to say one other thing. They did mention towards the end that they heard the feedback about cosmetics being added to the shop and about needing to add those into the game as rewards instead. And they said that they were going to have some information about that in the near future. And many times they mentioned there's going to be a beefy upcoming Campfire chat, which is going to break down more about Season 4 itemization, PTR, and kind of upcoming major mega changes. So if you didn't like Season 3 before, the Gauntlet probably isn't going to change anything for you, but we have information around Season 4, which is really the more major changes coming to Diablo, PTR, and hopefully the updates associated with that will be coming soon on Campfire Chat, they said in a couple weeks. So that's it. That's all you need to know for the Campfire Chat. I'll see you on the next video. Consider subscribing if you want to. Like the video if you want to. It does help me out a lot, but don't worry about it if you don't want to. I'll see you on the next one.